Okay, I think we're ready now.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically this is the penultimate game of the New Orleans Crescent City Cup. It's between Evans Clinchie and Dave Wiegand. I'm not sure if you've actually seen through this game before. Probably not, since it only happened like this weekend. So
Yeah.
you would have heard that probably that Dave Wiegand won the tournament.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's only happened recently, so don't worry about it.
Hello. But I suppose it's a very important game, this one. So.
Yeah, these two are the runaway leaders at the top of the Collins division. So basically, they were tied. I think they were tied on wins, or actually, I think Dave Wiegand was ahead and by one game at this point. So Evans needed to win this game. So yeah, we'll just move straight into the game. So in the first move, Evans has EAHPRTY. There's actually only just one good move here, and it's the bingo. It's therapy.
Therapy.
Yes, I'm sure you know that one. So therapy. The only thing is about where to put it. So obviously putting the H or the Y on the double is best, but I think putting the H on the double puts the A next to the double letter score. So that's not really what you want to do. So what you want to do is try put the Y on the double letter score, and then it puts two constants on there with the H and the R. So if you move on to press forward, you'll see that Evans played therapy with a Y and a double.
Yeah.
So he played that for 88 points. That doesn't really give away many hot spots with any doubles sort of with the vowels. So pretty, if he finds the word, then pretty easy decision on that one. So the next move, Wiegand has AAEOORW. So there are a few options here. He actually ends up playing Woo, so Woo under therapy, so under the APY. He's played Woo there, WOO.
Yeah.
There are other options, so he could play something like Wahoo, WAHOO. This actually gets rid of all of the vowels and the W, keeps AER, which is great. Doesn't score as many points, but the O and Wahoo does give away, say, like the Z or the J hotspot going downwards, or opens up the triples in both directions, and it only scores 13 points, so it's not great, but it does clear out the rack. Something like that. Something like Awato, like AWATO on the T of therapy. That's also very good. Although it does create a hotspot also going parallel to the AWA on the Wato using the double, so it gives away a lot of points there. So if you press forward again, you'll see that he does play Woo. Pretty good move. I think that's pretty solid move there. Obviously, it scores them more points than a Wato or Wahoo, but yeah, it's not really got many options in this one. Yeah, so okay, so Evans now has PEF, LPVZ. Pretty clunky rack, not many vowels available on the board ready to score from. So what he actually ends up doing here is Fez along Woof and Fez. If you press forward again.
Yeah.
Personally, I would probably play Fez or Bez under Woof, so making AWE and pause. This actually scores a lot. Well, I think it scores quite a number of more points. You can also play parallel plays downwards from Fez, where he actually played it. So getting the E and the double letter score parallel to it, which gives away quite a lot of points. Fez also is quite a bit more defensive. It kind of blocks up the bingo lane alongside Woo. Sorry. I kind of prefer Fez underneath Woo anyway, so that's an option. Also, I think Bez and Yob is better also, just because it scores more points. I think it's 42, so it scores 9 more points. So it kind of Makes it a bit more difficult also to go under parallel play under Wu. So it has to just have the AW something, and makes it a bit more harder. So I think that's kind of better also than what he played. So move on to the next move. So Wiegand's now got AAEIORS. Again, he's got too many vowels here in comparison to Evans having too many consonants. So there are quite a number of options here. He could play something like AA, so parallel to Fez, so EA and ZA. Again, it opens up the triple. You can play something just under Woof, so AI or AA, so that's the Awa and Poa or Poi. Something that's quite defensive. It kind of keeps it blocked. You can also play something like AIA, also just above therapy. So they're THE, they're under therapy. Something like that will be a bit more defensive, gets rid of more vowels. Or you can play something like Riza, on the Fez, obviously.
Triple. So.
Yeah, exactly. But he also has the S, so it kind of sets himself up if Evans doesn't have anything good there. So, and it actually scores up more points. Takes up the Z play also. Yep. So, one of those is going to be quite good. I'm not sure what I would play here. There's probably one of those moves where I'd probably take like 5 minutes just thinking about what to do here. But he ends up playing, if you press forward again, he plays Aria.
Oh.
Yeah, this is not what I would play personally. I'm not so sure what the motive behind this is. It gets rid of the R as well. Yeah, I mean, you might also be setting up the S hook in both directions, so Arias and Zaz. It just opens up a bit more. It does get rid of 3 vowels also, but it does leave it very open, which is only for 19 points. This might be something that Wiegand wants to do anyway, because he's behind by quite some distance anyway. So yeah, he was behind by 101. He might want to just open up anyway. So this might actually be a good thing. I wouldn't fault this at all, actually. I'd probably play something a little bit more, slightly more defensive anyway, but this is not a bad move, I would say. So moving to So sorry, if you have any questions anyway.
Being back, so to regain to minimize the difference at the next move, he was very confident he would get good letters, good tiles.
Exactly, exactly. And in, the good thing is that this opens up basically two bingo lanes, 2 triple lanes. So even if Evans takes out one, then he can basically use another. So this is a very attacking play to try and make up the deficit. So we move on to Evans' third move now. So he's got BELNPTV. Not too many options here. There are really only 2 things that I can see. So if you press forward, this is probably what I would do is Neve, Varia, and Yon. This scores the most points, 37 points. Kind of restricts the ZA bingo lane, but though it does open up the E. It does score a lot of points, gets rid of the V, which is quite nice. The only other thing that I would consider here is playing Benzal, so BENZAL through the ZA. Although it scores fewer points, it does keep the P, T, and V, which is not particularly nice. So that's not great either. It does score a few points also. So how much is that? It's 3 points less. It's 34 points. I would probably say Neve is better here. So top move, I think. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. So Dave Wiegand's now got EINOSTT. So the attacking play has paid off. As you can see, he's now picked out a bingo. So he can either play Toniest or Tonight's. and Variers. So playing Toniest would obviously give away Stoniest for along the other triple, so you want to do that. So Tonight's is better along and Variers. Other options would be like Noisette along the E of Neve, using that triple, or Teosinte, not scoring as many points, so you may as well just play Tonight's and Variers, which has ended up, if you press forward now, this is what he ends up doing. 83 points, and he now moves 36 points behind Evans. So that's a good move, in my opinion, anyway. So next move is Evans. He has PCD LPTU. Again, he's got a lot of consonants. So basically, he wants to get rid of all those PC, B, U, all those kind of letters that are not very good for bingoing. So what he actually ends up doing, if you go forward, he plays public.
Public. Yeah.
Yes, so it's a very good move, I would say. 24 points, clears out everything. Keeps DT. And it kind of it just scores. It scores pretty well with what he's got anyway. The only other thing that I would consider here is something like Blude, so BLUDE on Neve. This takes out the the bingo lane. It does keep CPT, which actually isn't that bad in the sense. Sorry?
They are not bad, CPT, yeah.
Yeah, so it actually scores the same amount of points. CBT isn't that bad, so it's like, okay, might be, if you pick out some vowels, which there are quite plentiful in the bag, then you could potentially bingo with those tiles. But public is a very good move also, so I probably would play that instead. So Regan's fourth move now, he's got EGMRSTV. I think he plays the best move here. If you press forward, he plays Vergis and Zars for 42 points. It basically just does everything. It kind of takes up the triple, scores well, gets rid of the V.
And the end column.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just does very well. The only other things that you would ever consider is something like Greaves, GREVES, same letters again, but it keeps it more open. The V just blocks up the board with verges. Something like Meves, also MEVES, scores the same amount, but you probably want to get rid of more consonants here. Be a bit too consonant heavy. Another option would be just to play Veg and Zag. So you keep EMRST. Pretty good tiles. I mean, there's a lot of vowels left, so even if you pick out one or two vowels next turn, if you just play Veg, you could bingo with alongside Tonight's, so like with the E, ending with E or S, for example. And there's floaters with the T and E in therapy, which is quite nice for what the leave is, so it's good bingo synergy. Good percentage of getting a bingo with Veg also, but doesn't score very many points, only 20 points. So I think Verges is good here. It's 42 points. It puts him just 18 behind, so it puts him back in the game now. With Veg, it's only 20, so he would be he would be 40 behind otherwise. So that would kind of mean that he would need to bingo next turn to try and keep himself back in the game. But with Verges, he keeps MT, which isn't too bad anyway. So there's a good chance that he could pick out one of the blanks or some bunch of vowels, and that he can do well from there. Tell me if I'm going too fast, by the way. If I'm
No. It's up.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So move 5 for Evans here. He has ADEGILT. He does have a bingo here. He has multiple options. If you press forward, he plays. If you go forward, he plays Guilt Head through the H of therapy. he also has two sevens here that he can play. He can play Tagled or Legated above tonight, so ET and DO. Tagled would put the G on the triple letter score, so that's better than Legated in my opinion. It actually scores more points also. So Tagled I think is 68 points instead of 65. Does open the triple though, but then Gilthead also does open the triple. The Gilthead also puts the A next to the triple letter score, so if Wigan maybe has a J, then he's going to score about 50 back, and then basically negates the bingo. Yeah, it opens up 2 4-timer lanes also with Gilthead, so it's very attacking play here. He wants to just try and blow the board open, and maybe he just wants to try and go for the blanks and S's and try and bingo some more and have space for it. So that's maybe what Evans is thinking here. Instead of Tagled, I mean Tagled also puts the A next to the double letter score, so maybe if he has Wigan has something like Ilex to go underneath it, then that scores a lot of points. So maybe he's a bit worried about giving away a lot of points from Tagled, and is happy to take the 3-point hit on Gilthead. So that's probably what Evans is thinking here. But yeah, any bingo here would be pretty good.
And of course, they will put the bingo next.
Yes. So what happens in... Yeah, so Wigan now has blank AIMOST. Yeah, so if you go forward again, he plays co-admits on the D of Gilthead. Now puts him in the lead, so that's 90 points. Only other options are toadyism on the same position, but co-admits is better because I think the C restricts the opening, or atomism and Giltheads. This scores I think 87, so I think co-admits is better here. Okay, so Evans' 6th move. He has blank. He's now picked up the blank here, so blank EEKLUY. If you go forward, he plays KAE on just above co-admits. I presume this also just blocks the J if Wigan happens to pick it up. The thing is here that Evans missed a bingo, a very low probability bingo, 37,000 in probability. He missed key bugle on the G of Gilthead, so KEYBUGLE. Very difficult to find, especially making the blank a B as well. Not one that, and you want to think about playing through the G also. So, in theory, a very big miss here, but KAE isn't too bad either. It does score 37 points, keeps the blank back, so he can always score more later on. And obviously the threat for the J could also give away a lot more points if Wigan has it. So Wigan's next move here, he has ABDIOTU. Only a few options here. I think there's nothing really he can do at the bottom side of the board. So he's probably going to have to use the triple at the top middle. The only other options I could see would be, say, Budi, B-U-D-I, or B-U-D-O. However, they keep 2 vowels back. Not great. So if you go forward here, he plays Ubit. Yes, so this is actually what I'd say is pretty good. I mean, if you go back again, sorry, you'll see what tiles are left unseen from his point of view. There are a lot of I's and O's, a lot of those kind of like vowels that you don't really want duplicates for. So if he tries to get rid of those O's and I's, especially if he keeps AD, then that's good because he's most likely to pick up I's and O's later on, things like that. There's a lot of E's left, a lot of A's left. It looks slightly vowel heavy, the bag, so he's in his best interest to try and get rid of as many of those vowels as possible. So playing Buddha or Booty would keep 2 vowels and 1 consonant, so Ubit is better. It scores I think it scores a little bit more. I think it does anyway. Yeah, it scores 1 point more. Keeps AD, so it's a bit more balanced in that kind of sense also. So just go forward again, so we see what Evans has done. So the scores are tied now. So this is Evans' 7th move. He's got blank CEFLUY. Doesn't have very many options here, in all honesty. The only things I could see are playing FY under co-admit, so the O and the A, OV and K. He plays FY E12.
Yeah.
Or he plays something like Flui at the top through the U of Ubit. So Flui does score 27 points. But though it does block a lot of those lanes on the top if he wants to bingo. I mean, he's got the blank, so what he wants to do is to try and bingo. Flui does block that, and it's not particularly good for him. It keeps the CU blank, which is not great either. FY I think is slightly better also. If you go forward, this is what he does. 23 points. It keeps CELU blank. If you draw into, say, an N, I, O, A, something like that, he's going to bingo at some point. So they're kind of nice tiles in a sense to try and bingo from. Better than Flui anyway. So this is probably as good as he's going to get in terms of scoring slash leave combination in this sense. He puts him 23 ahead, so he needs to try and keep scoring in a sense, and try and go for the bingo with the blank. Okay, so Weekend's next move now. He's got AADDJMR. So yeah, he didn't pick out any of those other vowels, but he's now got a lot of duplicates. So, and he's now got the J also. So this is now becoming a bit of a problem. So the other options that you can really think of right now are playing parallel to Public and Tonight's. So if he plays something like Drama, so At, Mo and Pan, something like that, or Raja, similar thing. But though Raja does keep 2 Ds and an M, which is not great either. Drama in this sense I would prefer. Another option would be just play JA, so Joe and Pan. Another option was what he ends up doing if you go forward again. He plays JA. He plays Jaw and Apo above Therapy. Again, he wants to. This is a good move also. I'm not sure how much he's thinking about Evans trying to bingo now, because if he blocks that lane, then it's like, well, there's only space now for really at the top of the board to bingo, and if Evans bingos again along that lane, then Weekend has got no chance to bingo now. So maybe he wants to keep 2 lanes open, although his leave of ADDMR is not particularly great, so he might need another 1 or 2 more turns to try and bingo himself. It's a bit of a tough one really. I think they're all pretty closely matched, but I'm not really quite sure what the best move is here. It's one of those moves where you would probably think for quite some time. I personally might just play Drama instead, parallel, well, in between Public and Tonight's. It's a tough move, keeping the J, but not really quite sure what else you can do with it, to be honest. So it's a bit of an odd one. Okay, so we'll move on to the next move now. So Evans's 8th move. He's got blank CEELOU. There's a bingo here. There's a few bingos here. If you go forward, he plays Boucle above Tonight's. So yeah, incredible find here. 72 points. The other 2 options really are that you can play Boucles at the top with Ubit. 2 more points. Another one that I would probably prefer is to play Coolies and ST. It scores 1 point fewer, but it does restrict the use of the triple underneath Boucle. So if you put Coolies there with a C hanging there, then it makes it very difficult for any sort of comeback. Also, the fact that if you play Boucle, if you think further moves ahead, the likelihood is that you're going to play something underneath it, and then it creates another hotspot above it, which might open up the triple, opening up upwards. So if you put the coulee there, then it will kind of stop all of that from happening unless he has an H, which is not going to score very many points anyway. So Boucle, again, a very good move. So you mean any sort of bingo here would be great in terms of what the score is. So yeah, incredible find also. We guess. Sorry.
Find the bingo, the first blank.
Sorry.
The first tile of the blanks. It's hard to find it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes. Having the B and then having the B as a blank also very difficult to find. Yeah, not easy there, especially if you're not sure of the word boucle, then does kind of reduce all your options to just coulees if you even find that either. So it's important to know all these words. Okay, so Wigan's 8th move here. He's got ADDMNRR. Again, a lot of duplicates here. Is obviously in his best interest to try and get rid of some of the D's and R's. Not very many scoring options either. So this is the reason why I was saying about putting coulees there, because this now gives him a chance to score back underneath boucle with some sort of 4-letter word. If you go forward, he plays dam for 32 points. Keeps DRR. I mean, the only other option really here is to play darn, DARN, to get rid of those duplicates. Though it does score 8 points fewer, and he's behind. Probably would play the M here. You probably would play dam here. It's just 8 points. There's quite a lot of points in this stage. He needs to try and get as many points as he can, basically. And 2 odds, it's not terrible either, so shouldn't worry about that too much. Okay, so now we're getting towards like the pre-endgame stage here with Evans's 9th move. He has AEEGORW. Few options here now. So basically, he's 36 ahead. The board is now getting quite congested now. So the only bingo lanes are through the O and U of Ubit, and maybe the B also. Really, it's very difficult to get anything through the T of Gilthead as well. The C of Co-admits is also an opportunity, especially with so many I's left. Some sort of IC ending. Also there, but again, going to be quite rare to try and hit something there. So, in my opinion, I would try and block the top of the board with OUB. So something like OGEE going down the right hand side of it. So OOUGBEGI would do the trick. That kind of just takes out everything, scores some good points. Keeps him well ahead, really. Something like Geo as well. So UG, BE, and Geo. Something like that. If you want to keep an E anyway, that's also a good move. Something like Beware as well. Doesn't block everything, but it scores good points. It gets rid of some of those clunky tiles. But if you go forward now, he plays Brewage through that B of Ubit. I'm not so sure about this move personally. It does create more hotspots, like parallel to the EWAGE, to score points. This is not something that you really want to be giving away at this stage. I think it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really block anything. It just gets rid of a lot of tiles. It actually gives Wigan an opportunity to score through some of the vowels, which, from Evans' point of view, there aren't that many of. So something like Beware only gives you the A or the E, which doesn't really give you many points in back. So I would prefer something like OG here in this stage. It's important to just look after the lead and get Wigan to try and force an opening, which would actually compromise his rack and his score. So OG is 11, 15, 16, 18, 20 points. So that would put him around 56 ahead, I think. So that's more than enough at this stage of the game. You just want to try and see this game out and make sure that Wigan doesn't bingo or do any high scoring moves. Okay, so if you move on to, so here we are now with Dave Wigan with DENQRRU, and this is exactly the problem that I was going to say, because if you move forward now, he plays Quare on the A of Brewage. So this is the reason. Yeah, there's a lot of points here, and this is the reason why I was thinking of not doing Brewage, because it gives away unnecessary points. Especially putting the Q there, it's going to be 48 points. Other options would be to play Quad or Quera, just put an R at the end of it. Things like that would give away 50 points, and now, in my opinion, unnecessarily now, Evans is in a bit of a problem. He's now 16 ahead, and he's now got 3 eyes. So now we're moving to the end game now. So Evans' 10th move, he's got AHIIINO. So there's not really many options he can do here. As you can see from the unseen tiles, there's only 2 vowels left. So very constant heavy. So what you really want to do is try and take out some of the high scoring vowels that are on the board right now. So things like Quare, the E, or any of the E's on Brewage and Quare, there's possibility to score there. You kind of want Wigan to try and use up his vowels, and then basically just burns all the vowels, and then he just kind of can't do anything. So Evans kind of doesn't really achieve that in this sense on this move, but he plays. If you go forward now, he plays Ing and QI. He does need to get rid of some of these I's, which is something that he needs to do. The only other options possible are to play in the bottom left corner, play NOH, Oba and Hom, or just OH, something like that. Scores 30 points. Does keep 3 eyes. Yeah, it does keep 3 eyes though, which is not great. So Ing is not a bad move either. There's not really many opportunities in this stage to try and block up the vowels as such. So kind of bit stuck here really in terms of opportunities. So we'll move on to Wigan's next move now. He's now 33 behind and holding DILNORS. So the obvious move here is to play something like Kins, so QINS. Also bearing in mind that there are just 1 in the bag now, so which is why Evans. Sorry?
Only 1 S the bag. Not in the bag.
Yeah, he's got the last S. So what he can do now is to play Kins. That's what put him right into the lead now. Although that means now that he would have 6 tiles left and is unlikely to be able to go out the next move. So what he does now is a very clever move. If you go forward from here, which is what I think is the best move, he plays Nied, N-I-E-D, and scores 28 points in the process. Puts the, as he has the last S, and there's no T available to block. Well, it doesn't even have the T. Doesn't matter to block with unit or anything. That spot is now his. He's made it his now. So he manages to score 28 points and a guaranteed 39 points the next move. Something like that is actually very strong. The only other options I would say is to play something like ORD in the bottom left corner. So Oba, Rom and Dun. This actually gives him a chance to, it keeps LINS, it gives him an opportunity to potentially go out the next move. It also keeps the NS, also if he wants to play Kins. It does score a lot of points. It makes it very difficult for Evans to try and block the Kins hook also. But yeah, I think Nide in this sense is actually the best move. You just need to try and get some points on the board and hopefully that Evans can't go out in 2 moves. So now we're moving into the end game. It's Evans' 11th move and he's holding ADHIIOX. He's only 5 ahead now. Knowing that the Kin's hotspot is there, so now he knows that he needs to try and go out in basically 2 moves. He can't afford to let Dave go out with Kins and something else, which apparently he can. Well, he can actually go up with Lorne as well, above Buckley, to Oba, Rom, and Nunn. So he has an outplay with Kins and Lorne. So what you want to do is to stop him from basically going out in 2 here. So there are actually a number of ways to actually win here. He can play something like Dixit, so on the IT of Ubit and Gilthead. So just put DIX before it. This actually sets up O higher above the D of Dixit. I think it's the best move here. But there are numerous ways of just winning this game, so not really a problem in that sense. If you go forward, he plays Adoi for 6 points. He keeps HOX, so he has the Hox to go above, underneath Adoi, that scores 22 points, or he has the Hox to go parallel to Quer with the E, HOX there, that scores 26. So he's got plenty of scoring opportunities, and that outruns the Kin's play there. So there's not much else to explain here. Evans has now basically bagged the victory. So Dave plays Kins as next move as you go forward. Goes 28 ahead, but with Evans' setup play, he plays Hox alongside Quer and wins the game. So either of those plays actually wins the game under Adoi. And going to the final, going into the final, you'll see that Evans manages to win by 6 points. So yeah, that's a pretty high standard play here, in my opinion. This actually ends up keeping the competition alive going into the final. Dave manages to win it, unfortunately for Evans. But yeah, it's just kind of clutch plays that I think really separates the elite players, really, and you can see that happening right here. So yeah, that's basically the game I was going to try and go through. So any other questions you have whilst we're here?
No, it's okay. Just the Romanian joke. You know that word Adoi. It's very loved by the pupils, the young people here, because it means Adoi. You have a 2 mark out of 10. You know, in school.
Yeah.
So that's why here the kids are memorizing it very easy. This one.
Yeah, it's not easy at the top. You know, it takes a lot of time and efforts to get there, and getting to know all the words and stuff is quite tough. So hopefully you've.
So I have to learn them.
Yeah, it takes a long time, I'm afraid. Yeah, but it's well worth it once you get there. So yeah, yeah. If you have any other questions, then just message me.
It was a pleasure for me to see this game with your eyes.
No problem. Yeah. So yeah, probably have to end it here. I've got to head out in a minute. So yeah, it's nice talking to you anyway, Catherine. Hope you learned something. Anything was good here. Yeah, we're glad that you won the competition. Also, it's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well constructed.
No problem, man. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
And see you in London, maybe.
Yeah, are you going to the World Championships?
Yes, I will be there in the junior champion with my team.
Okay, cool. Hopefully, I should be there too. Yeah, I should be there. Since it's here anyway. So yeah, that's great. Yeah, I hope to see you there anyway, man. Yeah, take care of yourself. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. See you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.